that's what I was saying to you earlier. You've got these conflicting messages from the law, with one side saying you're supposed to take instructions and move on quickly, and the other side saying don't let old people ruin their lives and blow away their inheritances because they don't know what they're doing. So a lot of that's most problematic. If you don't really know the client and you don't have the baseline, then you're in an awful position when you get a call up and you're told to book a trade that strikes you as being disastrous. Number two, if you think the trade is really disastrous, so it's out of character, it's not suitable for the client, then yeah, you can refuse to book the trade, but confirm in writing that you have and why. And yes, there's risk when you do it. That is unavoidable, and that's the call you're making, right? And the risk is that it turns out the person is capable. You've refused to book the trade and it costs them money. The bigger risk is you book the trade and it costs them money, and it's then your fault. So, and that is why you need to prepare for it. With all the preparation in the world, there's still going to be the 20% of files where you are genuinely up against it. And then you are making a decision, all things considered, what's the reasonable thing to do here? And you're going to be asking, what am I seeing? Is this a departure from the norm for this client, or is it kind of business as usual? Am I seeing stuff that would cause a reasonable person to think maybe this person's not capable? And is this a suitable trade given, because I've already done I know my client, and I've done a proper analysis and plan, and this just isn't fitting. And then you make the call.
Capacity is dangerous. Like, I'll give you, like, if somebody is not mentally stable, we cannot take instructions legally, because that person legally should not be acting, giving us instructions. It should be somebody who's got a PA doing that.
So if somebody is, yes, so then if you know that someone lacks capacity.
Well, we don't know, that's the whole point.
No, but that's my point. If you take the approach I'm suggesting, 80% of the times you will. So either you'll see that things are changing and not for the better, and you'll address them before you get the call, telling you to book a trade, or you've got someone to call to help you. So that you can call and say, hey, I'm getting this instruction from your dad and it doesn't sound or feel right to me. What's up? And then you've got, and at that moment, it's no longer just you on the firing line. With a bit of luck, you'll get the information you need to resolve the issue. With all that, you're still going to have those moments when, as I'm saying, you are stuck and you are making an all things considered decision, what's the best thing to do here? The only advice I can give you there is get some advice. And it may just be talking to someone else experienced and talking it out loud. My experience with that has been, when you talk it out loud, when you get a third person to say, can I just tell you about this one that's really bothering me? The moment you articulate it out loud, you know what the answer is, and you just didn't want to know it. So that'll take care of like half of that 20%. And then the other 10, that's why we have God and Scotch. Powers of attorney, you can use also. They're a tool for heading some of this off. So I've talked to already, the trusted contact person, that's the person, I see you've got a question, I'll come to you in a second. My client says to me, if you're worried, you can call my daughter. And I've given you permission to do that, even if you release confidential information. I am cool with that. The trusted contact person doesn't actually have the authority to decide anything. They're just there to help you. So you want it to be someone who knows the client and who may be able to help you out when you're in what would otherwise be a tight spot, or who's in a position to help the person. So a lot of those calls end with, thank you so much for calling. I've seen something's up with mom myself. I'm going to make a doctor's appointment and take her in, and let's see if we can get to the bottom of it. So a lot of it's actually fairly mundane stuff. The power of attorney for property is like an insurance policy against the possibility that for a short or long period of time, the person who's made it loses the ability to make decisions. That actually gives you someone to whom you can turn and say, okay, we've talked it through, your dad is giving me really terrible instructions, way too high risk for him. We've got a doctor's letter confirming that this is a result of whatever. You've given me a copy of his continuing power of attorney for property that allows you to make decisions for him. The attorney for property can make decisions, has the authority to make decisions. You've heard me say this before, but again, it comes back to the basics. First thing you do when someone hands you a power of attorney for property is read it. Read it. Okay? The worst file I ever saw, the worst, from an advisor who called me up and said, his attorney for property has been making decisions for the last 15 years, and I'm not so sure she can anymore. And I said, well, send me the document. And it wasn't a power of attorney for property, it was a power of personal care. It had been in the file, nobody had actually read it. So you read it, and it'll tell you, often there's more than one attorney, in which case you need to be talking to more than one of them. There may be restrictions on investments. Sometimes the power itself is restricted, so that you need a doctor's letter or something before it becomes valid. So you get it, you read it. When you're talking to your customers, clients, once a year at least, talk to them about powers of attorney for property. Now, I don't want you playing doctor, and I don't want you playing lawyer. You don't actually get yourself involved in the process of making wills or powers of attorney. I've actually seen it. I have actually seen it. Advisors who draft wills and powers of attorney for their customers. I mean, I don't want to do it anymore, and I've been doing it for 25 years. You really have to be crazy to do that for someone, but you can be really helpful in terms of saying everybody should have one, and here's how you can think, here's what goes into them, and maybe you even know a few local lawyers, and you can say, here's somebody who can help you out and whose fees are reasonable. There was a question over there.
In that regard, if you've got a client and you don't have a power of attorney and they haven't given you permission for a trusted person, are you still advised to breach privacy and call their son and say, in the realm of a what if, what should I do? Are we going to get more trouble doing that?
So did everybody hear that? It's still going to happen. Let me flesh that out as a scenario, and that's going to be the person who really is in trouble. We often, as people have one of the problems with mental problems, if your leg's broken, it hurts and you got to do something about it. If your head's broken, it often doesn't hurt. It often feels pretty good, and you think you're absolutely convinced you don't need to do anything about it. So you've got somebody who's declining, who you say to them, well, can I call your daughter? They say, absolutely not. You don't have a trusted contact, and you don't have the power to claim for property, and now you are stuck. Because they may insist on booking trades or whatever it is. If you book them, you're exposed to liability because you now have reasonable grounds to think you've got someone who's incapable. If you release confidential information and it turns out you're wrong, it's just like urinary tract infection, 3 days later the client's back, and in the meantime you've released confidential information, you can be exposed to criticism and complaints for that. You are now well into the all things considered what's the best decision to make. There is no rule of thumb. Get a bit of advice. You have to think it through each time. Most of the time, the outcome, at least in my practice, is if we have to choose between losing someone a whole lot of money or watching them, maybe somebody take advantage of them and being criticized for breaching privacy, better to be criticized for breaching privacy. There was another question here.
I have two questions, actually. Power of attorney for property, if you prefer, does that include financial it seems right, and that's the issue. And the second question is, does a power of attorney have to be signed by a third party to witness the granting or the granting?
So the first question, when I say power of attorney for property, property here does not mean real property like your house. It means anything a human being is capable of owning is property for these purposes. So yes, it covers your bank account. In Ontario, they have to be signed by the grantor and 2 independent witnesses who are over the age of 18 or they're invalid. Do I have time for one more, Nancy? Okay, so we have 3 minutes. One more question? Let me give someone else a chance who hasn't asked one yet. Going once, going twice. Okay?
If you have the power of attorney from the first meeting that you sent, and the person is in the wrong statement, the fact that you have the power of attorney allows you to hold the next of kin, the person that is appointed.
So if you've got a continuing power of attorney for property and it's valid, then you have reason to think or conclude that the customer is incapable, you can then go to that person and they can actually give you an instruction. That's what it will be. Okay, thank you very much.